ice can be a problem for all cars, but for electric cars like the all-new I-Pace it poses an even greater threat.
EVs rely on power from batteries, which are essentially chemical reactions, and a simple grasp of GCSE chemistry will tell you they're vastly influenced by temperature. It's an issue that electric cars already face.
Don't believe me? Head over to the Tesla website, and you'll see that temperature is a major factor when calculating range.
The lower the temperature, the lower the miles you'll get from your EV.
This variable range effect isn't too bad for EV owners in countries with milder climates, but in those with colder ones it can have a serious effect.
So how do you ensure customers around the world get the same projected 300-mile range from their electric SUV?
If you're Jaguar, you design a system that keeps the batteries at their optimum temperature at all times, and then you test it in one of the coldest places you can find.
To find out just how Jaguar manages to do it, we drove the I-Pace at Jaguar Land Rover's cold weather test facility in Arjeplog, Sweden, where temperatures plummet as low as -40 degrees Celsius.
But first the tech.
Lithium-ion batteries need to be kept at the temperature of a warm bath, and the I-Pace uses a mixture of heating and clever thermal diversions to keep them at their sweet spot.
The car's air conditioning unit and heater do most of the heavy lifting, cooling or warming the batteries to the correct temperature, when needed.
But, the I-Pace is also able to divert waste heat to the batteries too, saving energy on heating in the process.
What's more, the Jaguar can heat or precondition its batteries when it's being charged too, saving power for when you're on your way. As you'd expect from an EV, these systems are entirely controlled by the car's ECU and software, though unlike Tesla, Jaguar says it's not looking at updating the firmware anytime soon. Take a look at pictures of Jaguar's all-electric I-Pace, and it looks like a tall, wide SUV.
But in reality it's a far more low-slung, sporty affair than the odd JPEG suggests.
The I-Pace looks aggressive in the flesh, with minimal overhangs and a sculpted, sloping roof adding to its athletic stance.
In person, the idea of Jaguar I-Pace E-Trophy Series makes much more sense.
Driving an electric car on a frozen lake isn't our usual review method, but it was still possible to take away some key details about the I-Pace.
Once you jump into the car's camouflaged cabin and get going, the Jaguar feels far more agile and responsive than its size suggests.
Steering is sharp, and around 400 bhp from the Jaguar's electric motor is more than enough to break traction on the ice and hold you adrift.
With TC on, the I-Pace is able to keep you relatively straight, but turn everything off, and the linear power delivery makes sliding the I-Pace rather predictable.
At this point the Jaguar's direct steering comes into its own, and after a little practice, it's possible to quickly and precisely put in just the right amount of lock.
In the short time we had with the car, body roll seemed to non-existent, a huge plus for a car of this size and height.
Like most EVs, the I-Pace arranges its batteries along the bottom of the chassis, a bit like a skateboard, and that keeps the car's center of gravity low.
The result.
Less weight transfer, and far less rolling around.
It's clear the I-Pace has all the urgency of an EV, with very little of the drawbacks you'd usually get at this size.
With traction control on in precarious conditions, the I-Pace is tame, but turn off all the gizmos, and you'll find the Jaguar is still able to provide enough feedback and response to make braking traction and spinning up the rears enjoyable.
One year ago, Jaguar's I-Pace concept blindsided the automotive world, appearing without warning to banish the notion that the storied British mark, around which history can hang heavy like Dickensian fog, might be a little tardy to embrace the electric revolution.
Instead, it lifted the veil of secrecy on a progressively styled, pseudo-SUV EV with 4.0 seconds 0 to 60 miles per hour performance.
Now, as Jaguar races to be the first established mainstream premium player to deliver an EV to market, its engineers are in the final phases of calibration work, fine-tuning prototypes built on the production tooling.
Orders for the I-Pace open in March 2018 at an estimated price of between £60,000, for entry-level, single-motor versions, to £85,000 for the flagship twin-motor version we rode in. Some 25,000 buyers have already registered their interest, with first deliveries expected Q3 2018.
Perhaps the least onerous of the I-Pace's testing assignments was conducted in Los Angeles in late November, where engineers used the city's chronic congestion to fine-tune the car's powertrain on the urban cycle. We tagged along.
When a car makes the transition from concept to production reality, there's always the worry that its design will be corrupted and compromised to the point of disappointment.
I-Pace is not like that.
Even in Look at Me, Urban Camo, its proportions remain striking, the rakish cab-forward proportions, there's next to no visible bonnet when you're sat behind the wheel, the appropriately cat-like face, those stunning Ian Callum spec 22-inch wheels. Climb inside, and while the prototype wears fabric over most of its interior, to hide disguise the final dashboard, you're struck by the sense of space.
Headroom front and rear is epic, and rear seat legroom generous for a car on a footprint of this size. The driver's display is related to that used in the new Range Rover PHEV, namely a large circular graphic that displays speed within it and a pointer around its circumference that moves to show power drain/regen charging level in real time.
Also present is a control to drop into a higher EGNB mode.
Standard mode drives like a normal car, with a level of regen comparable to backing off in third gear, explains Simon Patel, the man heading up Jaguar's EV powertrain team.
This was deliberate, so customers new to EVs don't need to acclimatize.
Then we have B mode to give you that one-pedal EV driving style.
Personally, I use B mode the majority of the time.
It feels natural pretty quickly and it's more efficient.
At the top of Rodeo Drive, we're at the front of the queue with an Aventador Roadster noisily idling beside us, when the lights go green.
Patel jumps on the throttle and we're gone, the Jaguar shuffling drive front/rear for a clean launch and deploying its compelling instant shove to heave my breakfast to the back of my stomach.
There's no let-up as the speed piles on, the only noise a little rising turbulence around the wing mirrors and the whine of gears and power inverters.
Because the car's so quiet inside, we've had to do a lot of work on noise reduction elsewhere, explains Patel.
We've done a lot of tuning work on the epicyclical gear sets, the detailed design of their teeth and the way the units are manufactured and assembled, to give us the lowest noise possible.
But I like a bit of whine, for a sense of speed.